third graders, we're going to take a look at our lesson from yesterday, which was lesson 8-2 for your fact families. So this was on page 95 and you were working on the even numbers. Fact families, if you remember, we're using right now our understanding of, which is the standard. I can use the factor of a multiplication problem to help me find my quotient. And what that means is if I have a factor, and I'm just demonstrating for you here, I'm just giving you an example. Remember, your first factor tells you your groups, your second factor tells you how many in each group, and your product is the total number of objects that you get once you put all those groups of 4 together. So if I have 5 groups of 4, I take 5 groups of 4 and use repeated addition to find the total, which is 20. Now, with division, you're taking the total, which is called your dividend. Everybody repeat, your dividend. And those are the same because you're starting with your total in division. You're breaking it up or sharing it or dividing it into groups of 4, and the other factor should be your quotient. Now, it just depends on, it could be your number in each group, or this could be your groups, depending on how it's written as a word problem. But as long as you know that these are going to be the factors from your multiplication sentence, you now can see that your quotient is going to be one of the factors and your divisor is going to be one of those factors. You always have to start with your total when you're using division, which would be the product here. So I've demonstrated number 2 for you here. If I have 3 groups of 2 is equal to 6, it's asking us to complete the fact family. So to complete this fact family, I know that I can switch the order of my factors and I can create another multiplication sentence with the same product. So if I have 3 groups of 2, 2, 2, and 2, 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 2 is 6. Now, this can also be a division sentence because if I were to take those 6 and put 2 here and 2 in here and 2 in here, when I divide it into 3 groups, I would end up with 2 in each group. So, using your division from your multiplication is what we're going to do in a fact family. So we started with 6. We put it into 3 groups. There were 2 in each group. This multiplication sentence has 2 groups of 3. That would mean 3 and 3. That means I take the 6, I put it evenly into groups of 2, or 2 equal groups, and I would have 3 in each group. So I'd have 1 here, that's 2, 1 here, that's 4, 1 here, and that's 6. So I separated them into equal groups, and that gave me 3 in each group. So what we're doing is we're learning how to use our understanding of multiplication to now take those groups apart from the total and put them into what looks like a multiplication sentence. Once we're done with multiplication or division, it now looks back and looks like our model of our multiplication. So let's take a look at number 4, since you're doing even numbers. Number 4 has 4 groups of 1 equals 4, and we take 4, divide it into groups of 1, and how many groups do we have? This would be our groups. So if I have 4 objects and I put it into a group of 1, how many objects are going to go into that one group? Well, I can only put them into that one group, so I've got 4. Now here, I can switch my factors, and I can finish up my fact family. This would be 4 groups of 1, but it's still going to be very similar to that. This would be 1 group of 4. There's 4 in there. If I have 4 groups of 1, if I take those 4 objects and put them into groups of 1, 1, 1, and 1, I would have 4 groups of 1. So this would be 4. I start with the 4. I put it into a group of 4, and I have 1 group of 4. So we're switching our our divisor and our quotient, switching our divisor and our quotient. Okay, so number 6, again, number 6, we're using actually it says to find the quotient for number 6. So if I take 16 and put groups of 4 together, how many groups of 4 am I going to get? This is called my quotient. Which means I've got blank times 4 equals 16. Or I could put 4 times blank equals 16. Either way, it's still going to work out the same. So in this case, I've got 16 objects, and I put them into 4s. So let's see how that, here's 4, now I'm at 4. Subtract another 4, now I'm at 8. Take out another 4, now I've used 12. Take out another 4, now I've used all 16. How many groups of 4 was I able to make once I finished dividing them equally? I have 4 groups of 4. 4 groups of 4. And so here's my model to show my work. Remember, since these have the same factors, if I were going to make a fact family from this, you wouldn't put another 4 times 4. There wouldn't be any reason to. It would look exactly the same. So unless the factors are different, you're going to only have 2 equations in this particular fact family. It would be 16 divided by 4 equals 4, and 4 times 4 equals 16. So 2 equations for this particular problem. Now, it didn't ask you to do a fact family, but it can help you. It's really going to help in a manner of speaking. So 8 is a little different than what we normally see with division. It's actually going to have the 18 is your total, and you're going to put it into 2 groups evenly. So if I were to do that, what would I need to, and you're going to put your quotient at the top. It's called your quotient. So this is your dividend. This is your divisor. And your quotient is going to be here. So it looks a little different, but it means exactly the same. So if I were to take these 18 and put it in equally to my 2 groups, I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. So if you see here, I have 9 in the first group and 9 in the second group. So I have 2 groups of 9. 2 groups of 9. I can check my my division by using multiplication. Okay, number 10, same thing. Your division sentence, well, actually it's not a division sentence because you don't have an equal sign. So unless it has an equal sign, this is not called an equation. So I shouldn't call it an equation because it's not an equation, But it's just another way to show division. So if I have 30 and I break that up into groups of 5, and I could use repeated subtraction to help me find how many groups of 5 I would have. I could say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. Now, how many groups of 5 was I able to use to get up to 30 when I skip counted? So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can use multiplication to check my division. So I'm going to put my quotient there. If I have 6 groups of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. I can use skip counting to check my multiplication, and this would be part of the fact family. Now, it doesn't say to do a fact family, so I'm just going to use this as checking my division by using my multiplication. So that was number 10. Number 12 is asking me to construct an argument. So for number 12, it asks me, how can you tell without dividing that 15 divided by 3 has a greater quotient than 15 divided by 5? And it says without dividing. So we could use multiplication maybe? So if I know that 5 plus 5, and let's look at, I'm dividing it into, I can use 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. So 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 more is 9, plus 3 more is 12, plus 3 more is 15. So I know that when I take 5 groups of 3, I know that if I use my changing my factors or switching my factors, if I switch my factors, 3 groups of 5 is going to be the same as 5 groups of 3. So 5 groups of 3, I'm going to have more groups of 3 to make 15 than I'm going to need whenever I add groups of 5. Because since I have more in my groups, I need fewer groups, if that makes any sense to you. Hopefully it does. So if I'm adding groups of 5, I need fewer groups. If I'm adding groups of 3, I need more groups. So without dividing and actually showing my model, I should know that more groups is going to have more groups is going to need to be, there's going to need to be more addition. Smaller groups, less addition. That's my example here. So I can use that understanding to help me with my argument. So it says, how do you know? So it says, you can tell the greater quotient will be 15 divided by 3 because you'll have more in each group. Oh, you'll have more in each group. And I'm showing that here. So if I break it up into 3 equal groups, I'll have more in each group. If I break it up into more groups, I'll have fewer amount in each group. And that means I'll have a greater quotient here in my 3 equal groups. Okay, number 14 through 28, I'm going to let you go ahead and finish on your own. This was a good start to your lesson. Hopefully this, if you have any questions, please put them in your Schoology messages and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Have a nice weekend and don't forget to do your DMA today along with your happy numbers. Make sure that you're doing the recommended amount of time that I've placed in your lesson plan, okay? So if you have any questions, like I said, put them in Schoology message and I will get back to you, or you can always call us tomorrow and we will answer any questions you have. Have a great weekend, guys.